I still use design. in 2014.
Okay, if we are ready, we can begin. Yarosław?
Whenever ready.
Thank you very much.
No.
Thank you. Nice to meet you all. My name is Yaraslau Kot, and I'm an international LARPer, LARP researcher, LARP designer, and so on. I'm in LARP from 1996, and unfortunately, we don't have much time, so I will be trying to go on really fast, cutting off the advertisements and self-advertisements with you. Well, I've been in LARP really deep, and I have PhD of Yale University, I have MBA, British Open University, and Master of Psychology as well. And the first one was on dramaturgy, and second was about LARP as well. LARP is a business project, my master's in business, and master's in psychology was LARP used in HR of Investigators Committee, which is a big state research I've done. And we founded HR division in Investigators Committee of Republic of Belarus and published a book later about each of them. There are a lot of stuff I wrote, some of that I wouldn't advise to you. Some things are maybe interesting. You'll find it later, and even this year I'm co-authoring and participating in like 7 books. If you're interested, I'll drop it to you. The main idea of this presentation is to tell you when you grow more or less professional in LARP, where do you go next? Because usually LARPers, they have a really limited view on LARP sometimes because they consider it to be, because they pushing themselves from fun and they go sooner or later to entertainment. We had a panel before that, PR in LARP. It mainly consisted of advices about PR in entertainment, which is absolutely different from others. And I will tell you that if you work in PR, for example, in other industry, for example, science or psychology, you can profit from it into if you start project in entertainment. All of this will be based on my own experience. I do LARP in all areas I mentioned, and even some more, because I didn't put sex industry, but it's way ahead of LARP subculture, so to say, and technology-wise as well. We'll just drop the details, and if someone interested into different areas later on, to stop the questions, because I have very limited time, just approach me. I will be ready to assist you in your country, helping breaking through the boundaries in certain areas, and I will be gladly sharing with you the experience of my company working somewhere and somewhere. I also work with international charities and organizations, and practically in every country we can help you. Okay, first of all, this speech is based, I wrote it specially for LARP Design Conference in beautiful Polish castle, which owned by a girl who is also a LARPer, and from the Blue Hair family. I wrote it for the LARP Design Conference in 2016 by request of Klaus to share my experiences. It called Faces of LARPs. Then I made a lecture in Paris, in Nails of 2016. It called Going Pro in LARP. And also I perfected that lecture at my own conference last year, reporting on our activities to international LARP research community. And the article about it is published this year in the book by Carnegie Mellon University, article LARP as Life. Oh, closer to me now. So it's free for download, you can read it. I will talk about something which is not free. First of all, when you go pro, you need to understand that you have to change yourself. There are professional traits which you cannot avoid if you want to work with people, and that is respect. You have to respect not only yourself, because LARPers are basically self-consistent people, egoists, and that's normal. And that's good, because
In LARP subculture, which we often mistakenly discuss talking about LARP industry, is absolutely different in LARP subculture. Subculture, everything you have to do is to have fun, and you don't owe anyone anything. And the relationship absolutely different. It's more like artistic output for game masters, and they not always want to have critique because they want to relax. If they grow in professionalism, and if you want to go pro, you need to develop respect towards those with whom you work at all times. Obligation. Everything which goes wrong is your responsibility. No matter who's done it, no matter what has happened, whose fault it is, there is no such thing and concept as fault. You're organizer, and it's your fault because you had to foresee such circumstance. Responsibility you have to take. If some of your minor worker does something wrong, it's your responsibility you have to take. You can have a speech with him later on, but you cannot tell to your clientele or to community, this person is wrong. You can say, it's my fault, it's my fault. I didn't talk to him in time, something is something. You being a top dog, you always have to take responsibility. Pro growth, you have to study. That's a biggest mistake of many LARPers. Being organizer of international LARP conferences and events, I know how difficult it is to drag LARPers there because many of them consider that they have enough knowledge. And that's normal for LARP society. As we mentioned, they don't owe anyone anything. They already have enough to have fun, and that's it. Don't judge them for that, because that's the last thing you can do with LARPers. We have no right to judge them. But if you want to go pro, you have to study, and you have to learn from different places. You have to go somewhere to study. You have to get additional information, go to enlist into some Coursera lessons, lectures, or whatever. Distance, you have to learn to keep distance. If you go pro, then the culture of your company will change in time. And some of your friends will work worse than some of people who are not LARPers. You need to keep distance because sometimes the more roles you will have, the more difficult professional choice you might have. It's nice to have a group, a wonderful team, but in time, if you will increase the amount of events, partnerships, you will have to have also a distance, even with friends. You should mark the border between friendship and professional relationship. And if you have a lot of workers on the party, it means that you cannot relax like with other friends, like just hugging each other. Sometimes it's very difficult because maybe day after tomorrow he will do something, you will have to fire him, or he will want to go to some kind of party of his friend, but you will have an important event. His things for him could be more important. And the conflict of roles is a very difficult issue for beginning leaders. So be careful. Also, one thing about it, when you start going pro with LARP, one of the biggest mistakes, I already mentioned it a few minutes ago, that LARPers think that they know everything and they are trying to do everything. Don't. There are professionals. If you don't know how to speak with media, invite someone who is respected and knows how to speak with them, even not from your company, someone else who will tell about your project and he will be authority. If you don't know how to do PR, don't. You can wreck all the project with the wrong PR, wrong choice of words or whatever. If you're not medic, don't try to be a nurse at the game. If you're not specialist, don't try it. Or you have to study to be one. But you should think that, are you ready to do this role all the time if your project, if your business evolves? So please think about it. I also teach at business schools throughout the world, and the first thing we business trainers and consultants say about a professional businessman, it's not the one who does business well, it's the one who knows who to hire and who to consult at that moment. It's like when you do repair work at home. If you have enough money and you want to do it quality, you invite specialists. If you don't know how to do like electricity or whatever, you invite specialists, and you won't be able to do everything on the same quality level as different specialists who are. Questions? I'm sorry. You hold it back.
I just want to say something on that topic.
Yeah.
So basically, you're saying The smart person is not the one who knows a lot of stuff, but the one who knows how to gather information.
Not the smart, but successful. There is a big mistake when people think that rich person, oh, he will tell us how to live. No, rich person is not necessarily a wise person. Usually to be successful in businesses, you have to be relatively primitive. To buy cheap, to sell expensive. And that, I mean, not many, the average IQ of rich people is not that high. And a wealthy person just knows which specialist to turn to. Okay. First, LARP as a subculture. We all start from that to go pro. We start considering it as a market. LARP as a subculture, I worked in different countries and consulted with many professionals. Do not consider them as a team for if you want to go pro. Do not use LARPers as workers unless you tried to work with them and they consider and they are ready to go pro and work on themselves. Because they are not ready to take, they have to also be ready to change these things in them. If they're not, many professional LARP designers and the owners of LARP companies, they had big problems trying to enlist LARPers into their companies. And the best, and some of the best workers in companies, they have nothing to do with LARP at all. For example, as our friend Zulu mentioned Witcher Academy, the other organizers mentioned that one of the best NPCs is a cosplayer, actually, a girl who because she works for the other. And LARPers, the main aim of LARPer is personal reflection, personal experience, and that's absolutely different if you go to work for someone. That doesn't work anymore. So if you consider LARP, LARPers are the source of valuable specialists, partners, workers, and PCs. Yet you should also consider them as, should not consider them as the main source of income. LARPers will come to you if your product will be of a quality. They will have no choice. They will come to you. But your product should be aimed to some other social group.